There is a day, 300,000 years ago, somewhere near what is now the Kalahari Desert. No alarm rings, no phone buzzes with messages, yet everyone here already knows what happens next. For nearly 300,000 years, humans had no jobs, no paycheck, no office, no resume. So what filled all those hours? In 1964, an anthropologist went looking for the answer. His name was Richard Lee, and he moved in with the Jew Hoansi. The Jew Hoansi lived in the Kalahari, in Namibia and Botswana. Lee tracked every hour adults spent finding food. The number he recorded? 17 hours a week. Some weeks closer to 20, counting tool repair. Compare that to a standard 40-hour work week today. In 1972, Marshall Salins took that data further. He published an essay called The Original Affluent Society. His claim: foragers were not starving on the edge of survival. They had more free time than a factory worker in Detroit. So picture that Kalahari morning again, closely this time. The group wakes with first light, no earlier. There is no reason to rise in darkness. A woman checks the wind and studies tracks near the waterhole. This part comes from the Hadza of Tanzania, studied since the 1980s. Researchers Frank Marlowe and Kristen Hawkes documented their daily routines. Women leave camp mid-morning to gather baobab fruit and tubers. They walk about 5 kilometers, then head back. Men set out separately, alone or in pairs, tracking game. The skill gets passed down verbally, generation after generation. A successful hunt happens roughly once every 3 or 4 days. On the days it fails, plants cover most meals. Gathered food makes up nearly 70% of camp calories. Back at camp, midday brings a slower rhythm. Someone repairs a bowstring. A child throws a small spear. The target is a termite mound, not a lesson plan. Elders, done with long treks, mind the toddlers instead. They also become the camp's main storytellers. In the 1970s, Polly Wiesner recorded Jew Hoansi conversations. Daytime talk centered on economics, complaints, who owed whom. Once the fire was lit, the mood shifted entirely. 81% of firelit talk was stories, myth, and humor. Meat from a kill never belonged to the hunter alone. The Jew Hoansi followed strict rules called demand sharing. Cuts went out by kinship, arrow ownership, old debts. A hunter keeping meat for himself risked open mockery. There's even a name for the custom: insulting the meat. Elders would call a fresh kill thin or worthless on purpose. The goal was keeping pride from growing in any one hunter. Once food needs were met, no task list waited. Lee estimated close to 40 hours a week of leisure. Naps happened in the heat of early afternoon. Games using bones and seeds resembled modern dice and jacks. Some of these game pieces date back over 10,000 years. None of this means life carried no risk at all. Infant mortality was high. A bad drought could break a group. But something got worse after farming spread, about 10,000 years ago. Skeletons from early farming sites tell part of the story. Average height dropped several centimeters compared to earlier foragers. Farmers' bones show more dental disease and worn joints. Anthropologist George Armalagos documented this across Mediterranean sites. His studies ran through the 1980s and into the 1990s. Jared Diamond had a blunt name for the shift to farming. In a 1987 essay, he called it the worst mistake in human history. So where did the modern job actually come from? Specialized roles needed surplus food, something farming could generate. Foraging bands rarely produced or stored that kind of surplus. Grain, unlike foraged food, could be stored, taxed, and controlled. That control needed record keepers, soldiers, and rulers. Clay tablets from Sumer date this to around 3400 BCE. Some of the earliest writing humans made was payroll and rations. The rigid, clock-driven workday is far younger still. Historian E.P. Thompson traced its rise to English factories. This happened in the late 1700s, a few centuries ago. Bells replaced sunrise and hunger as the signal to start work. For most of the time modern humans have existed, nobody clocked in. The daily rhythm ran on hunger, weather, and nearby people's needs, not on a schedule handed down by someone else. That doesn't make the modern workday some kind of mistake. Antibiotics and food security for billions came from that same specialization. But next time Monday feels unbearable, keep the numbers close. The 8-hour clocked workday is roughly 300 generations old. That's a sliver next to the history of a species that spent most of its existence figuring out how to fill a day without one. If this changed how you see your own week, say so below. Tell us which fact surprised you the most. Subscribe for more true stories about how humans actually lived. Before the world got complicated, before the clock, before the job.